President Benjamin Todd Jealous could not be here today, our jury counsel, who is scheduled to be in Elmira, New York, for one of my branches, rescheduled her to be here, so the truth will be told why the NAACP is here. This is the General Counsel of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Mrs. Kim Keith.
I just want to get right to it. New York has one of the most progressive laws. It requires that parents be notified when you make major changes in the schools. And we filed suit because they took action without following New York state law. So when they violated New York state law, we filed a lawsuit. And we won that lawsuit. And it said that they had to create and implement and fund schools so that they would be able to not be the failing schools that they were, but that they would be productive schools in these communities. We tried to negotiate, and I think Hazel can talk about this much better than I can. We tried to negotiate. We thought we had negotiated. Everybody thought that it was all done. But when we found that it wasn't being done, that these schools did not have plans, some of them created for them, did not have the funding, did not have anything implemented for the new year, but yet there was going to be co-location where students across the hall would have laptops, but not students on the other side of the hall, or people would have more access to the library while other people would have less access to the library. We recognize that that is separate and unequal. And that is at the heart. It doesn't matter if the kids are the same color on both sides of that wall. It's still separate but unequal. So that's why we went back to court. We are fighting for children, for the children. Their education should not be based on a lottery. Their education should be based in the laws of the state of New York. And just remember this, what happens to these children if they don't get a quality education in our public schools? What happens to them? We all know that if you don't get a high school education in America, your trajectory is totally different from the child who goes on and is able to attend college. So we stand with Hazel Dukes, we stand with New York. This is a very important issue. And all we're asking New York to do is follow the law. That's all we're asking for. We're not creating new law. There's no extension of a law. It's the law that New York has on the books, and a court order says that we are asking for something that we are doing. So thank you.
We've been joined by two people, by Mark Weapon from our city council and our union leader, TWU. But now, I want you to hear from a parent. I want you to hear from a parent who's been working just unrelenting on this issue. We didn't dream this last night. We didn't start this yesterday. We've been in this battle for about 7 years, really, about 7 years straight, trying to get the Department of Education to understand its mandate for educating all our children. And when some of our children have lunch at 10 o'clock, some of our children have no school yard activity, that is segregation. I want you all to write it till you get tired of writing the word segregation. 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 Unequal. Unequal. We will not stand for it. Not no gut bound. No.
Thank you, Dr. Dukes. Thank you, NAACP. Thank you, community and elected officials. As Dr. Dukes says, this fight didn't just start with this lawsuit. This community is under siege. What's happening is, instead of improving our schools, working, investing in them, investing in our kids here, the DOE is closing them down. They're squeezing our kids out. They're not investing in the 96% of the kids who attend our public schools. Instead, they're saying education is a business. It's a competition. What happens in competitions, Mayor Bloomberg? What happens in competitions, Arnie Duncan? You have winners and you have losers. And in our case, Those losers are the 96% of the kids who go to these public schools. The problem with our charter schools here in the co-location is that our kids in the public schools are losing. Our friend Eva Moskowitz and the other charters, she's just doing her job. She says it. Her job is to compete. Well, what happens when you compete with millions of dollars? When you spend more on marketing to bring in kids than you do for books, for food, for transportation for our public school kids. That's what's going on. Over $1,000 a kid to market while our kids are getting cut. We're not making this up. At PS 241, the charter school wanted the kindergarten rooms on the ground floor. What Eva wanted, Eva got. Our public school kids are in the basement, next to the boiler room. Separate and unequal. At PS 149, they wanted the gymnasium. So the charter school got the gymnasium. Where are the public school kids? They have gym once every 6 days in a workout room. Separate and unequal. At PS 123, Eva Moskowitz and the charters, they wanted the labs because they want to be able to offer science to their kids every single day. So what happens to our 6th graders and 7th graders and 8th graders who by law have to take the science test? They got nothing. And the kindergartners got the science room, separate and unequal. What happens to our special ed kids? At Brandeis, where they want to go in now, where they're spending over $1 million to bring in charter kids that aren't wanted and aren't needed, and to push out our ELLs, our special needs kids, what's happening there? The counseling suite has been closed for 2 of our high schools. They've been moved into a book closet.